David numbering the people. This is one of those stories that's so important in understanding the flow of Scripture. And yet, it's considered one of the lesser known stories of the Bible. Let's just take a look at a few different elements. The first thing we have to talk about is, what was David doing that was so wrong? Well, he was taking a census. And yet, the Bible doesn't say that that's wrong. Matter of fact, God told Moses to take a census. Part of the book of Numbers is the census that he took. So why was it wrong for David to take one? We don't know. But our own personal experiences is that we know that sometimes God moves in our life and something's wrong for us when it's not wrong for other people. In this case right here, God did not want David to take a census. See, they would take a census to know how strong of an army they would have in case they went to war. But this was a time of peace. David was just wanting to know, how mighty of an army did he have? And God told him, do not do that. Even Joab knew that. Even Joab knew that God did not want David to take a census, to say, just trust the Lord that He'll supply you as many men as you need when the time comes of war. The second thing we see here is that God, through the prophet, gives David three choices for his punishment. But to David, he only had two choices. The third one, he didn't even consider. The famine, many years of famine, David did not even go there. That was not a possibility. He would consider the other two, but he'd gone through that. Remember, the last story was a 3-year famine, and he did not want to go through that again. That was devastating. He had to consider between being chased in war, being chased by his enemy, or having a plague, and he chose the plague as the lesser of two evils. The other thing we see, that when David is to buy the threshing floor, I never really caught before that Ornan was actually the former king of Jerusalem. He was the Jebusite that was the king when Jerusalem was a Jebusite city. And all right, David could take the threshing floor from him as the conquering king. But he didn't do that. No, he bought it because, like he said, he didn't want to sacrifice to God that which cost him nothing. One last thing, a minor point. We know from the census that David had 1 million, 1.5 million men that were able to go to war. Which meant, when you figure it out, that he had probably about 6 to 8 million people in his kingdom, for whatever that's worth. Well, come back next week when we continue on with more insights as we finish out the stories about David. We'll see you next week.